Yeah. like consumers. Yeah, like a regular client. All regular clients? Okay, pros. Okay. No, okay. Okay, cool. The tips will work for everyone because I really learned most of this by doing it on myself, and then now I do it on my clients. So that works. Okay. So to get started, I actually already prepped her using the Divine cream, which is our makeup remover slash like hydrator prep. So it's traditionally more like a cold cream. You could do a dry skin, melt off your makeup without stripping. But before makeup, you can let it sit for like 10 minutes, wipe it off without water, and you get this really nice, juicy, like cushiony finish that you can kind of just dive into makeup. And why this is good, especially for someone more mature, is that one of the most common complaints is that with age, you lose the juice in your skin, right? That's what causes the fine lines. That's what makes your makeup look a little crustier. You're just drier with age. That's just what happens. So we're gonna want hydration at every step, even if it seems counterintuitive, even if it seems like too much juice, the skin wants it. And by the end, the skin is gonna appreciate it, and that's what you want, so everything looks good, right? Hello. That's a makeup. It can be used by itself as like a prep with no water, but then with water, it'll be used to remove. So it's a really good one to keep. Clients really like it because it's not irritating. So if they are sensitive, actually a lot of clients with rosacea tend to like it because it also kind of comes because of the hydration. So really good, again, before makeup, like if someone has texture, as you're removing, you're kind of removing that skin without having to use something abrasive. Like I use this little scrubby like cotton guy. So it has some texture, but not enough to like either leave or like strip off too much. No water. Literally just paint it on a nice layer and then just wipe off with that water. Yeah, I would. But yeah, but you get this nice little bouncy cushion. You can see she already has like a nice glow. And I'll tell you, my mom, we both live on coffee, so we are dehydrated girlies. So this glow is good. Now, what are the most common complaints with mature skin? It's the room. Like when you guys sit to do your makeup, what's the first thing you say to yourself? Like what's the first thing they say usually? Well, it's usually I want to look 20 years younger. It's usually like that. And then it'll be look at these bags, look at these lines, and it's very like self-deprecating. And I usually let them get it out. And then you say, okay, we can go back in time, but we're gonna work with what we have, right? And the reality is, it's not that you hate your face now. It's that you're doing your makeup how you were doing it 20 years ago, and it doesn't match who you are. Those techniques no longer work, right? Yeah. Mhm. That. So that's also why hydration is really important. Because if you're dry, anything you put on top makeup wise, your skin's gonna suck the juice out of it. So you have to kind of give it enough with like skincare and prep before you get here, right? Then, speaking of texture, thank you. I'm actually going to use as our base today because everything is going to be cream, light layer hydration. Because the reality is, especially with more mature skin, they're not dealing with things that need heavy coverage. They're not dealing with rosacea. They're not dealing with acne normally, right? It's usually maybe like hyperpigmentation, maybe some pink, but relatively it's even. It's more so that they're focused on bags and lines, which are really not discoloration and technically not the job of makeup to hide, right? So that's important to set that expectation with your client. So now that we know that, looking at my beautiful client, she really does have nice skin, right? It's very even. She has a little bit of cute pink in the cheeks, but that's nothing crazy. She has beautiful freckles, so her skin looks like skin. There's no discoloration, there's no scarring, there's no pigment, anything that would require a full face mask, unless that's what the client asks for. Most of them are not, right? They want to look like their best selves. I'm actually gonna do two looks. First look is gonna be like the regular one you pull out for your everyday client, the one who just wants, to look like themselves for an event, your go-to, and then we're gonna show you the one for the client who is okay wearing makeup at any age. So first product I'm going in with, and it's also gonna act as our primer slash a base of foundation, is the Super Boost Skin Tint, which is our new like tinted moisturizer that we came out with over the summer. I love it. It has polyglutamic acid, which is like your better friend of hyaluronic. It doesn't rely on the weather to give you that hydration, which is an issue. If you guys know about skincare hyaluronic, you need water in the air to get that benefit of hydration. This ingredient doesn't need that. So you can use it on anyone, dry climate, cool climate, whatever, it'll work. It also has a little bit more grip than like our Hydro Glow foundation, so it'll sit nicely on the skin without staying juicy. Because sometimes a glowy foundation just stays juicy and it'll. So, fluffy brush, because this is going to give the effect of like an airbrush. The looser the brush, the less coverage. But what's nice about her, she's kind of medium density. So if you want some coverage, right, we're not going in for just sheer. So it'll give you enough.
And what number brush is that, Carolyn?
You're right, 140. She's actually technically a concealer brush. But what I like is that it's giving you this airbrush effect where you can kind of wisp it towards the ends. And it'll create a nice, even bit. Because again, you don't want to feel like a mess. Your clients don't want to feel like a mess. Most of the time, if you do full coverage everywhere, they're going to say, I don't feel like myself. I don't see myself. I'm hiding, right? It's because you don't need it everywhere. And again, she has these beautiful parts. Once we covered those freckles, she doesn't look like herself because that's not her skin anymore. So letting those things shine is what's going to make it not look like makeup. Because the reality is, again, she really might just want to cover that pink. And the pink is relatively covered without having to be full, right? So back to the brush. The reason we're doing something medium fluffy is because if you have texture, instead of going in with like a sponge or something really tight where initially you're going to do that to apply, this is acting almost like a finger. It's swooping right over those lines. It's not filling them with texture, but it's blurring them. And I know it's New York. People are getting ready very fast in the morning. Not everyone's going to have time to like, but I tell my clients, less is more, first of all. You don't need a 50 million product routine to get it done. But also take the time. In the morning, if it takes 20 minutes, give it to 20 minutes, and then you don't have to think about it the rest of the day. And I always say, whatever, like the foundation, your tinted moisturizer, your base, whatever, do it first. Let it do what it's going to do. It has to pull its own weight, right? Like this did a lot. It took down that pink. It evened her out. Still looks like skin. And technically, like for a regular, girl going to Pilates or whatever, like this is it. So, but now we're getting into our coverage. So why I love this, this has actually been my base for all summer. Pretty much, I love it. It wears really well in the heat, especially if you are dryer like me. But it also builds really well with coverage. Like any full coverage product is gonna fit well on it because of that hydrating base. It has something to grip onto. But if you're using something more matte, it won't look matte because now you have that base of glow and juice, right? So we are playing with our brand new concealer. Came out last week, and it is, I think, a fan favorite for everyone in here already. So if you guys are familiar with our old Ultra HD with the black lid, she was a fan favorite. We all loved her. I would say that this is her very close fraternal sister. So if you loved her, you're gonna love this one. What's nice about it, you still get that serum base, but you're getting that coverage. It'll lock down to like a semi-matte. There's some discourse of whether it's a true matte in here. And you notice with everything I'm doing, I'm starting in the middle, right? Because that's why I keep emphasizing the pink is in the middle. So all of your coverage really needs to focus there. Most clients, and you're an artist, when they're talking about coverage, they really mean here, right? Like you said, eye bags. Most clients, their focus is, I have purple, I have eye bags, I have whatever, rosacea. It's usually always here. It's almost never something here. It's almost never something here. So you don't need full coverage there, right? So I'm really only putting the coverage where we need it.
You're still using that same brush?
Same brush. Everything is still with the same brush, and same brush. I didn't pick up any more of the boost, but I'm using it as like a buffer between the concealer and this way, so you can see. Also with the placement, I'm going a little old school, but I don't want to call it the triangle of light, but because it technically is, if you guys are familiar, the way that like You'll see on tutorials normally that they do concealer, and there is a method to the madness. If you go from the corner of the eye to the nose, and then from the nose back up to this corner, there's a triangle right in that little, between the front cheek and the cheekbone. And you'll see, because I did the concealer there, it naturally lifts her cheek. You guys see the difference side to side? It's subtle. So the shade is technically like one shade lighter than her skin. So it is technically bright. We're still waking up. It's not so aggressively bright where it's like makeup, you know? Because she can walk around like this. She just looks like she's well rested, right? And then again, because of this technique, you're kind of faking the contour because you force the contrast. Because contours for the non-pros are creating shadows in the face to look slimmer, right? So it's all about, you hear the word a lot, contour, contour, contour. It really is contrast, right? So because you put bright here, now her natural cheekbone appears deeper, which would give the appearance of a contour, right? This is also a nice trick if you don't know how to contour yourself. If you do your concealer this way, you're gonna see where your cheekbone pops out, and then you know, okay, boom, right under that. Also, light layers are your friends. Even if we have 5 minutes in the morning, light layers are especially. Does anyone else have questions? The see the moisturizer, you put it under as well? I kind of swept it everywhere. I focused it really here and then go towards the edges again. Because it's acting as like a little base everywhere. And you'll notice, okay, so wherever I want more coverage, you're patting. I'm really focusing it here because this is where you're sweeping. Which is also why I like a brush like this, because of that little, like, it kind of replicates that little stubbiness. When you pat is where you're building your coverage, and when you sweep, you're blending it away. But again, because of that blurry edge, it gives you an airbrush instead of streaks, instead of that. Because a lot of your clients are gonna, yes, you're gonna end up holding it like this because that's how you know how to hold a pen and pencil, right? And doing this, you're doing the work. You're not letting your brush do the work. 'Cause by reflex, you're gonna push. So my recommendation, hold her further back. If you notice I'm getting streaks, I'm getting whatever, hold it back because you have less control. Now you're letting them. Remember, your brushes have jobs. Don't force yourself. Let them do their job. The 140. I will say also really good for setting for the eye too, because of how fluffy it is. Yeah. So really, I kind of really focus concealer here. That's where you want the main coverage. I swept a little bit around the nose because you know most people are gonna have a little pink here. I'm not adding anything extra. Whatever's left on the brush, I'm sweeping down here to cover any extra little pink, and also here where she doesn't really need it, but just to connect the face together, right? All right, now, pretty blank canvas, of course. This is a moderate amount of coverage. We're not going too crazy. This is look one. So pick your poison for your client. But going in for sculpting with our Harmony One All Essentials palette, and technically I will say, if you wanted to bypass the concealer, you could play with this, but that is gonna depend on how confident you are with your mixing. So we are gonna play with this side though, because what's nice is you do get everything. This is actually, I used you do get some color correctors, you get foundation concealer, you get bronzer, highlighter, lip and cheek. So it is like a nice little everything in a pinch. And for our uses today, she's gonna be our sculpting girl. Now I know also for clients in general, it's just a culture thing. They grew up with a lot of powder. Everything is powder foundation, powder, blended on, powder. And now the reality is, the question is, why do I look so powdery? Because powder. Now, thankfully, powders now, not as powdery, we're going talc free, they're smoother, they're thinner. So they can get away with just powder, but it still may not be the coverage you want, the finish you want. Because again, with age, you're getting drier. The nature of powder is to absorb. You guys might not be friends in this time of your life, you know? So I'm actually, I took a baby bit of the darkest color and then the medium color. And I'm actually gonna mix a little bit of our hydrating primer, the Hydro Boost, which it is actually my favorite. And in place of the tint, when I'm doing like a more full face, this is my go-to for primer. Like as a prep? Yeah. For prep, realistically, if they're really dry, I do a bit of embryo lace or something, which is why I did like the Divine cream just as like a layer. But this is really good. And I use it on oily people, dry people, everyone, because it's oil free but hydrating. So even people who say, I don't need it, I'm oily, they need it. So put it on them. But it also has ginseng, so it's another one that'll naturally reduce like redness and the skin irritation. So I actually have clients who wear it like just by itself because they just like it. And it gives like a nice little glow. So without so using her as like a little mixing medium, and you see you get like a nice loose consistency. And the reason I bring up the powders again is because we don't want to look dry. We're talking texture, we're talking some dryness in the skin, hormones, things like that. Creams and liquids are your friend. They're user friendly because again, if you're in a time pinch, they're easier to remove if you need to. Powders, they like to lock down. It's easy to be heavy-handed with the powder and it's harder to reduce a powder. Creams, forgive me. And notice, everything's liquid right now. If I do go heavy-handed, I can erase it really easy without a problem without going, oh my God, it's the end of the world, my face is ruined. So, we're gonna fake a contour because most clients, like 99% of them would say contour, they really just need definition, right? Which is why I also emphasized the concealer before, because you already saw that cheekbone. It made it very easy for me to just talk to you and do this, because I can see exactly where that cheekbone needs to sit. So I'm using another fluffy brush, kind of similar shape to the other one, just she's a fatter guy. I think this one is technically for blush, right? I think so, it's kind of blush. So 152. And what's nice about her, because she's small, she fits right into this little hollow, which again, I saw because it popped out with the concealer, and I'm literally just swooping it. So it's faking a contour because it is giving you that illusion of a cheekbone, but I'm going looser where it's almost a fake bronzer, which is gonna make it more user-friendly. Think of the difference between Kim Kardashian, very structured, tight, yes, but the sculpting versus like J-Lo, very blown out, brawn everywhere. I know. It's just the visual. It's the visual that I give my clients because it's easy. Everyone knows those two faces. That's why. Because again, like this is just something I've experienced with my clients. Yes. Where the top of her ear is. And it's kind of going, if you do it on yourself, you'll feel it. Top of your ear kind of going towards the corner of your eye, that's right where you're. And I will say for more mature clients, a problem is the lack of suppleness in the face is an issue. People will always say, oh my God, I'm losing like my cheekbones or whatever. It's actually a blessing in disguise for something like, because then they'll also bring up, oh, well, my granddaughters are always contouring. I want to play with them. Sure, that's when you do this. Because they already have the cheekbone technically, and they don't have a round face. You don't need to. So you're gonna do something like this, just a little deeper, a hair of coolness to give a shadow, but it really is more of a denser shade. And then this looser application is still targeting that area. So you're getting a cheekbone, but because it's kind of loose, it's kind of low maintenance, you kind of just do that. You're also getting, I look like a human. I just have some color on my face. It's not forced. No one's gonna look at her and go, oh, okay, cheekbones, you know? And whatever's left, I'm going down here. Because this is another thing you don't want to force. Because that's something that'll look obvious if they have just a brown line. So whatever's left, I want the most here, because this is okay to look like makeup, it's your cheeks. And then down here, you're just swooping the remainder, and then this goes down. This goes down, everything on the face goes up, rule of thumb. Everything on the face goes up. Concealer, contour, everything. If anything else, we're dragging the face down. So we're lifting. She used to put cream every night. She's like, let me push up. Okay? Genetic. Actually switching palettes for having fun time. This is not the palette. Now this one, don't be scared, but it's my favorite. I think you'll, yeah, see, I got the head now. I was like, I think you'll like her. What's nice about her, lip and cheek, face, everything, these have a higher pigment load than our other palettes. So really nice for having fun time like this. But again, remember, we have that juicy base, so they're not gonna be as scary because that nice juicy base is gonna help them all diffuse. So I'm like, don't be afraid of her. Also, why I like the palettes, they're sweat resistant and water resistant. So that's another thing to pull out, especially your clients. A lot of the time they think they need powder or it to wear. I need it, I need it. Not with Makeup Forever, I would say. When we say like waterproof, we mean it. So I really like the palettes. The concealer also, they're all water resistant. So even if I don't want to set her, I technically don't have to. It'll be fun. Yes.
I think it's smart resistant one thing people have and fully face.
Yeah.
But it's at the same time why it's not been transferred.
That's true.
But yes.
Yes, that is true. That's why I always said the middle, even when I use Martha, just because you're gonna sweat, you're gonna hug people, you're gonna do something, and that's when that can be an issue. But in general, for like everyday life, honestly, like throughout the summer, I've just been doing like this as my makeup and it works. So. Okay. Oh, another benefit of my palette, sorry, my palette is my favorite palette. Okay? The highlighters in here, these two, you can literally bathe in them because they have no glitter. They're just shimmer. So especially like under lights like this, if you're taking pictures, if you're, you know, anything crazy, you don't look like a disco ball. Because that's another fear that more mature people have with age. I can't wear glitter because it's going to emphasize this, it's going to emphasize that. And like, I think they associate anything glowy with glitter. And I think that's also not the reality anymore. So I usually kind of I always tell people, just grip them by the neck and just, sorry. I think I need another palette. But I usually tell them, like, just grip your clients by the neck and tell them what they need, right? That's why I'm like, I've heard it, I hear it, I let them tell me it. That's why I'm able to tell you, like, this is what the clients are gonna say. And I'm like, and then you just let them say it, and then, okay, and then just do it. Right? Because they're gonna say, I want contour. And you say, okay. And to them, this is contouring. Even though it technically is not, but like, frankly, for you, this would be contouring. You know? So like, thank you, Carolyn. Okay, so back to my highlighting. Does anyone else have questions? I'm kind of just like going. What's the number of the brush section? This, I'm going back to my other guy. It's going back to the 140. So the same brush that I've already done like the bulk of the complexion, I'm using to go back in with the highlighter. And again, I'm mixing it with some of the Hydro Boost to loosen it up. This, again, you can bathe in it. You don't have to be afraid of it. This is gonna make it look like, okay, she's healthy, she's hydrated, she got facial. That's really what we want when we say glow.
You said this is a mix of the highlighter with the super boost?
Yeah, from the palette. From the blush and glow palette. I pulled it up. And again, you see I'm bringing it high. We wanna lift the face. And then whatever is left, I'm not adding more. Because remember, this is something glowy. We don't want to go crazy. I say you can bathe in it. That's me personally. For someone over sure, we don't want to actually go super crazy. But what's nice about that, we call it the pick your poison situation. Right? We're adding glow where we want it, but we can take down glow where we don't want it. Right? And that's really what we're trying to do. We don't want to just go in with one finish and be there and then complain later that, oh, that's not what I want. Make it what you want. It's makeup. Right? So we're here. Alright, you show you guys what I'm doing. This one, this nice cranberry like red, but like it's touch of this orange. And again, if you guys don't get the palette, actually our new sticks, because I'm gonna show you guys this later, very comparable. So if you're overwhelmed by the palettes, we do have options. I'm gonna actually not share this one out because it is the blush, but I am gonna load up. So this is our classic foundation brush. If you guys are familiar with Makeup Forever 8, this is our traditional foundation brush. So technically for like a true foundation, this is where you would go in for like medium to full coverage. But again, for the sake of what we're doing here, we want lighter coverage. We want to not fill texture. So that's why we use something fluffy. But the reason I'm using this now is because we do color, right? So that's what I'm saying. It's makeup, not make rules. So make the brush work for you. And then what's nice about her, because she's flat, she kind of wants to just go in there. You don't have to make her do anything. And my rule of thumb, most mature people, where are they going to put their blush first? Right in the middle of their face. And what are they going to do before they do that? They're going to smile really big and lift their cheeks all the way up here, pat it down, and then drop their face. And then wonder why their blush is suddenly down here. And that's really what happens there. So what I recommend to everyone, myself included, start in the middle of the cheekbone. It's stationary. It's not going to move. You know where it is. Have your face relaxed. You don't need to be smiling and everything while you're doing your makeup. Just have your face relaxed. This is what your face looks like. Right on the cheekbone, have the bulk of your product. And remember, where the brush goes first, most of the color is going first, right? So we have to keep that in mind. Right in the middle. And then I have a nice little figure 8. Because that's how you kind of get it into that little cheekbone without becoming doll-like. Because color does appear in the front of the face, of course, but we also don't want to look like baby dolls. Some people, but maybe not these people. And then, because everything's still juicy, we're just buffing our edges. Another question people ask is, oh, where does the contour go? Where does the blush go? Where does the highlighter go? They're all friends. They go in the same place. They're like a sorority. They all live together. They all go in the same place. Years ago, there was like the Neapolitan trend where it was cool to see all 3 colors. We're beyond that. For more natural, so you can see they play well together. You have the highlighter here giving some light. You have a darker shade here giving some cheekbone, and then you have your color in the middle marrying them. This is what a real face looks like. A real face just has a little bit of bone, a little bit of glow, and a little bit of color. It's not overly sculpted where it looks like makeup, which no issues with that. Love makeup. But for our intentions today, no. Most clients, this is what they want. They want to feel like themselves. They want to look like themselves. They want to feel together, but they don't want to feel overdone.
But it also looks like, even though you use a matte concealer, it doesn't look flat at all. You can see like the radiance peeking through.
Thank you. Glowy. But realistically, if you touched it, it doesn't feel sticky. It doesn't feel wet. It just looks hydrated. We will add powder. If that's okay. Okay. Yeah.
So I have it for labeling, but you did go here,
With the blush.
but you didn't add any color, you just put whatever was from up here when you got, because you did go here.
With the concealer or with the blush? With the blush, I used this fat guy and I tapped it right on the cheekbone, like the center of your cheekbone.
Right.
And then figure 8 back and forth. Yeah. But what I'm doing with this is the same concealer brush, but I haven't added any product. Whatever was left on it, I'm using to kind of just go around the edges, just to diffuse it. No harsh lines. Everything's married together. They're all friends. Okay. I'm not gonna set yet. I like to set at the very end. That way, if anything moves, we fix it. Because once we lock it down, we're locked in. So, here's what happens. This is how I work. Okay. And it works, okay? Good. Does it feel like a lot of makeup? We're not gonna need it. out of it.
I put so much. I get my whole outfit is full of powder and I put it all together.
Okay, so I'm gonna use, remember, creams are the name of the game. I'm gonna use our Aqua Resist Smoky Shadow Stick. Love these. I actually use them as basis for pretty much any eyeshadow look on any client because they are waterproof. So even if you go over them with a powder eyeshadow, they're gonna make them waterproof too. But by themselves, they're also really pretty. I also like this shade, and we have a champagne one. They're also really nice on the cheeks as highlighters because then they'll be like waterproof cream highlighter. This one is number 10, Peony. It's like a rose gold, really nice soft shimmer. It's actually really popular for bridal living in that world. And then,
Yep, that's
and it's user friendly. You don't need to be crazy. Like, close your eyes. Because it's like a crayon, and because it's relatively flesh tone, you just go for it. And then at home, finger, whatever. But for today, we're doing brush. That's why this doesn't have to be neat. This is going to be our base. But what's nice is this color specifically does have that touch of shimmer. So it's keeping that little bit of glow, but we're going to go over it. So the glow is going to be the same way that's going to happen with the face. My point here really is you don't want mattes as much as you think you do for someone mature. They're going to tell you, I want matte, I want a matte, I want matte. Sure. They don't. And maybe if you end up doing matte, at least start with something glowy as the base. Because as you can see, the glow is still shining through. Even though now we're layering, we're going more matte, she still doesn't look flat. She doesn't look powdery. She doesn't look ghosty. Still looks like skin.
And what brush are you using for the shadow stick?
The 248 is our new double-ended eyeshadow brush. It's actually one of my favorites also for concealer. Because this little side is a really good concealer one, and this has like a different density than other blending brushes. It's really nice. All of ours are synthetic, but they replicate the texture of like a wavy line. So they really do. Honestly, I don't really know. Yeah, I'm a cruelty free girl, but I am the animal hair brushes. They are it. So, but these I really don't feel the difference. I love them. And I will say because they're synthetic, you can use them with any of our cream, liquid, powder, and just brush them. So you see, like quick and easy, you don't have to overthink it. It's a nice little base. Realistically, for someone who's very minimal, this mascara and eyeliner is enough for a little bit. If they're really like, I don't. Also, so you'll notice, and this is another common issue, a common thing you'll encounter with more mature skin, the hooded eye. And it's something that even younger clients, I have it. It's a common eye shape that people always say, I don't know what to do with my eyes, nothing looks good, blah, 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 I have a hood. My thing is, it's actually my favorite eye shape to work on because you have the most freedom. Because of the hood, you can put as much color as you want in there, like an obscene amount. And when your eyes open, it doesn't look that way. Which is why I'm like, it's actually the easiest side to learn something on because you have more room for error. Like she always said, like, I can't do my eyes, they always look so small. So, which is why something like this, which that little bit of light is already gonna help. Because you can see it already makes the eye look bigger. Anything with glow is gonna emphasize. So even though there's a little lid, she has a hood, and now that hood is coming out. So with a hooded eye, you do kind of have to recreate a little bit, but that's kind of the fun in it. Everyone knows what a hooded eye is? Okay. Since I've used the word like 10 times. Okay. So, anyone familiar with these guys? Okay. Artist color pencils, you know them, you love them. So eyes, lips, face. Water resistant, not waterproof, but good for our intentions today. So remember, we already have a waterproof base. Anything that goes on top is gonna stick. Water resistant, so it means blendable, but will still lock down, right? Get it? You picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. So less is more with these because they do blend out. Or actually, if you do have a client with a hood and you're a little unsure, because it is going to be deceptive with the eyes closed, you're going to think you have a lot more space than you do, and when it's open, you're going to have that issue of, oh, it disappeared. If you want with their eye open, I would suggest if they're If you can, you could do get right in that hole. With their highlight. Cause look, that gave me the guide of how far up or the crease actually is, or like the space we're gonna be moving with. And then I'm just gonna create slightly above it, slightly above it. This is basically contouring. Cause what we're doing is, let me go back to the part. So a hooded eye basically is, the hood is bigger than the lid, right? When the eye opens, that hood now takes over that lid space. So what we're doing here, we wanna keep the lid as open as possible. That space is already very limited, right? So we're gonna go right above, you see how it's right above where that fold is? And it's gonna give us that little bit of space of like a wider brightness. It's gonna open the eye. Remember what I said, everything gets blended up, right? So. And I use very little. We're not going crazy because these are gonna blend out. But we're blending up because we are contouring. And you'll see as you're blending, especially if you hold the eye up like that, as you're blending, the eye socket is right here. Your brush wants to go right in there. That's what I mean. Let your brush do the job. Your brush is made to fit in those places. You don't have to force it. This brush has like a nice little tip. That little tip really wants to come right in there. And all you're doing is going back and forth with it. And you'll see. I'm focusing it again in one spot, figure eighting, and then whatever is left, I'm bringing kind of towards the end. But see, with the eye open, she has the crease, the definition, but it didn't close the eye. She still has the lid. And of course, we can go darker, but this is just so you can see. Do we see the difference?
You can close the eye.
Oh, close your eye. See, it's subtle. It's a similar look as what you do. It's really, that's why this class is timeless techniques. It's really about tightening up the techniques you already know, but to the needs of a different kind of, because they're gonna want similar things. They want glow, they wanna look even, they wanna look snatched like the younger people, but they can't do the makeup the younger people. So you're catering it to them, right?
And what was the color, the artist color?
Sorry, it was Limitless Brown. 608. And again, like that's why I'm working so gradually, so you can see at every level, you can stop here and your client's good. But of course, you could build up to where you want to go, where your client wants to go. Any other questions?
Yes, it's kind of related to this.
Okay.
For clients that have very visible like backlogs on their eyes, do you have any? Yeah, because your mom has a pretty good one.
Look at that. Good for you. Actually, I do because that's one of my favorite shirts because they swear it's dark purple and it's not. It's really it's water retention, so it's more like an actual bag than like purple. So I call this the illusion of makeup. That's what I tell them it is. It's really, you know, great for something like that. But what I like to do, yeah, I can just think about it, is take something again, like something like a highlighter with no glitter, but like something reflective, something shimmery, like that, but in a pink tone. That's important, like a champagne or a rose gold tone. And then I'll take this actually a little bit, and I pop it right, usually underneath, like imagine there's a bag here, right? Usually there's a little bit of a line right underneath that if you kind of tuck something with this reflect on it, it'll blur that line. And it creates, of course, it's not gonna magically make it go away, but it minimizes how visible it is, especially in pictures, because this flow is kind of forcing the eye not to see the difference in the skin, if that makes sense. Like you could even see a little bit, like
It's like using the illusion of.
that's why it's an illusion.
Cheekbones.
That's why sometimes it is an illusion. You have to set the expectation, like this is not gonna help that situation, but for the pictures and confidence, that does make a difference. And it's something subtle. I have the pink highlighter, but that's why I'm like anything really that just doesn't have glitter. You can use a liquid illuminator or even a powder, honestly. Anything, as long as it's not overly glittery. It's really the glitter. I like the pinkish. If you go too white, then it just looks like you're doing the inner corner highlight. But if you do something pink, it's almost like a color corrector. So it's like a little subtle like thing. And then if you want, I would bring it up into this little, yeah, just a little bit, because then it kind of just, it really just brings the face forward, which is what you need, because especially like with sunkenness or like texture, that's why it's the illusion. But little tips like that, clients will eat it. They love that, because that is a really common, I was actually like bag.
Some like that,
Mhm.
like
Like the actual, like,
yeah, by adding that like highlight that
but not onto the bag.
yeah, under
Yes,
so
like,
you need that area under that like corner.
yes,
So by that you leverage this area.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. But I do this on myself, honestly, because I sleep a lot. So I get this sunkenness underneath. It's not necessarily purple, but it is really sunken in, and that's actually how I discovered this. So I was like, I just threw my highlighter there one day. I was like, let me blur this, and I was like, oh, that worked. So
Our last lead artist was a big, like person when I think was doing the exact same technique too.
it also works for like smile lines, anywhere that you have a line that's not really colored. Because on myself, I'll do it here to bring these out, anything like that. Really, this is a good trick. Because again, even if you powder everywhere, you're gonna have that little blur.
I'm sorry, that could be done.
Yeah, yeah. Let the concealer pull the bulk of its weight, because the concealer is doing a different job. I was gonna switch to powder, but I'm gonna stay with the pencil just so you guys can see. If you wanted to bump it up, same concept, same color, okay? The same corner, and focusing it a little bit more towards the edge. Because again, you don't need a million palettes, you don't need a million colors. So far, we're using 2 colors, and we built pretty much a whole eye look.
So using that same
Okay,
color
yep.
pencil?
Same limitless, I just put a little bit more. Because remember, the name of the game is keeping the lid open. We can go dark, but we don't want to go so dark everywhere right now. It's just dark. Because see, look, she has a little bit more drama. I just a little bit. Now, I forgot, I do want to do a second one, so I'm just gonna finish this guy with something fun, and then I do a bit for real. So, I'm taking our, what is it? Artist Resist, Aqua Resist color pencils. So these are our waterproof eyeliners. You put these on the run. And I don't want to do something too neutral. We don't want to do something black, too intense. And if we're worried about the eyes being small, that is only going to make them look smaller. I thought brown was too soft, so we're doing Ivy, which is actually almost the same color as her hair. It's a nice, like, plummy. So you'll get some definition, some drama, but some fun. And I do find mature clients aren't afraid of color. They're afraid of looking silly, which is why I emphasize it's about confidence. It's about, whatever. Because a lot of it, if they were kids in the 80s and the 90s, they were wearing a lot of lipstick. They were wearing big hair. They were wearing crazy crap. It's just that they can't do that now. You just got to reteach them. They can do it. You just got to tweak it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just got to tighten your techniques to who you are now. I heard. See?
No,
See?
but I
You love Billy Idol. I was gonna say Jocelyn's always singing Billy Idol. That's okay. Okay. So I'm kind of happy here for look one. It's relatively simple. This is really kind of a classic go-to that most like, you know, mom of the bride, I'm going to a wedding, blah, blah, blah. This is kind of a go-to, right? And of course, you could tweak the blush, tweak whatever. Lip, do that. I'm taking it on a brush. Because again, we're controlling how much pigment we want, right? I loaded up my brush. We're gonna go right below the lash line, but I'm not bringing it in all the way. Remember, we're keeping the eye open. I'm gonna keep saying that because I'm gonna keep the eye open, but I'm bringing it to the top a little bit from the outer corner, just so that the bottom basically joins the party with it. That's really what we're doing. We want some definition on the bottom so she's not naked, but not so much for now the eyes. Which is also why I didn't want to go with such a dark color, because this works with the look and gives definition without being too much. Oh, the Beatles.
We're using the 248 brush.
Yes. So actually, I'm liking this. Not the brush I intended, but I do like it. This nice little flat tip is really hitting right under the lash line and kind of creating a really nice thin line. And what's good about these, if she cries, it won't move. I always tell my ladies, especially my older girls, they love it. I'm like, if you're gonna be dancing on tables, you're good for the night. So, right? See, they always say that. See, I always say it as a joke to my mature ladies, and you're always the first ones to go, "How do you know I'm dancing on tape?" See, and I'm like, see, I love it. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be me. You're gonna be me in the future. I don't drink either, man. That's what I tell them. I'm like, go crazy. I'm the mom. Yep. Everyone's safe and fun.
Thanks, see, really listening.
I know this is gonna depend on the person. I like to do my brows after the eyes. Some artists will do the brows before the eyes. It's because I am in a place in my life where I'm really doing brows after normal. So doing the last, she has nice brows. She has full brows. She's doing a lot. She doesn't normally fill them in either, so I don't want to shock her because a lot of clients, especially in an older age, they don't fill them in. And once you do makeup there, it is shocking because it is something that it changes your face. The only reason I'm going to do brows is because since we've done makeup, they have faded a little bit. There's product on them, so they're a little bit lighter than they would be naturally, but not because she actually needs them. Everyone get me? Okay. So I'm going in with the brow definer, the Aqua brow definer. This is our medium brown, shade 40. And what's nice is it has this classic traditional little guide just to make little hairs. Because again, she doesn't need a lot. Really just to give her that structure so she doesn't get lost in the face. I like to start at the tail because usually that's the part that needs the most help for all of us. The front usually is coming on its own. And then doing very little streaks at the bottom. Realistically, I'm kind of just carving on the shape that's there. Not actually like filling in the whole brow. So really just carving on the shape. And then with your clean guy, you diffuse it through. 40 medium brown. Yes. Well, I filled in like here where it is more sparse. I did kind of do a lot more like lines for filling in, like here. Yes. So usually from the tail to the end on most people, it's where the sparsities are, focus there. Where the most coverage is. And then here, because she's really full, I'm kind of just carving off the shape that's naturally there and tying it into the tail. Then, remember, less is more. The products blend out. You don't need to carve in the whole brow and then blend, because then you're just gonna have a cartoon chart. Which doesn't need a lot. Like, that's enough for her to have eyebrows, but not be an angry bird or anything like that, you know? So. Yeah, you guys are gonna be dancing on the table together. All right. See, that's the story. It's probably really. I am gonna stop before moving on to look two and doing the lip, just so you guys can see. This is our new setting powder, the press powder. Perfecting press powder HD Skin, and I'm using shade 1.2, which is light medium. It's not necessarily brighter than her. Technically, for her, it's a translucent. Because remember, look one, we're going for natural. We're going for skin. What's the number on this one? 1.2.
Would you bet translucent?
Yeah. Yeah, the original or this guy. The white one is more for a blur, in my opinion. This one's nice, especially over like the super boost, because you can see it is reducing that shine, but not making it flat. So like if you want to lock it down, I really would. Yeah, which is like for TV. I think I would switch to our matte velvet powder, the one with more coverage. Yeah, definitely for film and TV. Yeah, I'm gonna pull it out for look two. Is our TBD. Look one again is like our more consumer. And you'll notice I'm padding. This guy I'm padding, because remember, we want coverage and to lock down. So we are, well, not coverage, we want to lock down. And what's nice about this powder, it's talc free. Is anyone familiar with the Charlotte Tilbury press powders? Right, they're beautiful. Yeah. I would say these are very similar, talc free, which is a better, like less powdery option, but it has that thinness, that veil, a little bit of coverage, more color options. Because I feel like everyone got forced into a shade 1 or 2 with Charlotte. Yeah. And you can see, like, for the rest of the face, I'm really just swirling it up. Mm-hmm. This is the 150. No, sorry, I should have said this is our 156 brush. This is a new girl. Sorry, I only use it for the powder. So what I actually really love this one, especially for setting powder, again, because of that medium density. It's not so fluffy where you're just getting powder everywhere and then nothing. It's so okay where you're baking and you go. But really nice in between. Yeah, because it'll create that filter of coverage where you kind of want to let down, but it'll also diffuse where you don't want to look at. And again, remember I said this is a pick your poison situation. So she still looks glowy, she still looks like skin. We locked her down where we want it. And then complete it with a lip and then we're moving on. Could you say reversal chestnut? You're just taking it down. Back to artist colored pencil, we are using versatile chestnut, which has been actually my current favorite for the summer and probably going into the fall. Versatile chestnut. It's actually almost the same color as nail. A little warm, like red. I think I did limitless and I did limitless because it's a warmer brown. This is like a complementary brown with a shade of red. So it's gonna go really nicely on the lips, especially with the hair. And what's nice is, okay, I'm gonna say take this into account. My client has a fun haircut. She can't do a simple, very neutral nudie look. It'll wash her out. So for this client, a bolder neutral is gonna look wearable, if that makes sense. Like me, like if I do something very flat, my hair's too much. It makes me look like I'm dead. I need a bolder lip to kind of balance out the face. Yeah. So whereas, like this is technically a dark neutral, but for me, it reads as like a. What's up with me? No, they're aerodynamic. Yes.
you need the bold so it connects, is that?
I'm keeping this bold so that it's not just like dark here and nothing happening. Because technically, like for my makeup, I really just do blush, mascara, and a lip. So if I do nothing on my eyes and then a very soft lip, it looks very muted. If I did a, yes.
Like, they taught me how to do so if you have a bold, more dramatic.
You would do a softer.
Would this be as bold or you neutral?
Well, this technically for me is my neutral lip, so this is kind of the lip I would do even with the bolder. Yeah,
It's softer.
in the middle, she needs a balance. Yes. Yes, that's what, so that's what I'm saying, like, even though it reads like a dark neutral, it makes sense when you look at the client. I call it like the Snow White effect. If someone is very pale with black hair, that red lip, it just looks right. It doesn't look like too much because it perfectly balances, you know? Because it just, it's not too much. Yes. Because if you have someone very fair with black hair and then you just put like a nude, they look dead. Exactly. So you need some kind of contrast. So, purple coconut. And then, actually, to your point, Becky, for look one, I am going slightly bolder with the lip because the eye is so soft. For look two, because I will be bumping up, we will be changing the lip back. Yeah. Right, so like my favorite lip. Now I'm not filling in the whole lip. We're gonna blend, but what I'm really trying to do here is give some structure to the lip. Because another common thing a more mature client's gonna say is that with age, their lips have gone away, they have no lips, the color's gone, you know, nothing looks right. Da, da, da. What's nice about these is because they're water resistant, they'll have some staying power. You can create a wash of color that'll stay on. It's not gonna sit like a lip stain where it's dry and crusty. It'll be comfortable. And then if they want, I'm using a classic, it's a 226. It's like a flat concealer brush. For my needs, you can use a finger at home. You can use the edges. Because this is gonna act as a lip basically. But you see what I mean about how the tone matches the hair. So it makes sense. It's not looking like too deep, too crazy.
And you didn't fill it
No.
all in, it was just the edges.
Yeah. So but yeah, so I really just drew the outside and then diffused everything into the middle. Then I'm going back over that line on the outside just to crisp it back up. Because see, this is something really lightweight that I'll wear that they don't have to think about. And then from here, if they want, because a lot of the times people have lip balms, lip oil, whatever, you can throw that on top for your shine and not have to worry about not having a lip shape, not having color or whatever, because you already kind of threw that shape in. So this is like your base for whatever. So this was versatile chestnut. Yes. Really softly. Right? This is what I'm gonna tell you, some favorites. So for intents and purposes, this is look one, right? Very pretty. Pull it out of your pocket for your events. Of course, you can darken the eye, change the lip, whatever, but this is like a good staple. And it satisfies what you want. You're even, you're glowy, you're together. You look like you're see? See? Okay, we've all learned a lot of tips from look one, right? Because look two is gonna follow a lot of the same, but we're bumping it up. See? Honestly, this is my favorite part of doing makeup. When the clients start feeling themselves, you could tell. They're always like, yeah. Oh, mist effects. We don't have mist effects anymore.
It's right there by the divine.
Okay. Now, remember, I did second, right? So that means there's powder on here. How do we work on top of that? We're gonna refresh the skin using the Mist and Fix. It's our hydrating setting spray. Most of you are probably familiar with her. What makes her special is because she's hydrating, you can use it at every layer of the makeup without getting crunchy. There's no alcohol in it, so you're not gonna get that feeling that other setting sprays, you can really go crazy. You can technically have used it before the makeup as a primer. In between every layer, you can use it. At the end, you can use it literally whenever. So right now, we're gonna use it to refresh the skin because there is powder so that we can go back to working with creams. So is building coverage and bumping up color. When I went to the day, I start with cheeks or eyes.
Eyes.
I did, right? Yeah. Okay. Dimensional. That's waterproof. That's black.
You wanted the artist color pencil?
In dimensional.
In the pencil?
Yes, please. 2 seconds. Technical difficulties. I knew I forgot to bring something. Okay. From there, well, I guess I'll do cheeks instead of the forehead. That's what you call look one.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I know, girl. Enjoy. Table. Okay. Okay. So remember, I1 was smoky shadow stick with limitless. We're gonna bump it up by going into a darker color, dimension dark brown. Now, what's special about her? She's an extremely dark, cool brown, not black. Remember, we don't want black. Black closes the eyes. Black looks extreme of most people. Even though look 2 is gonna be more dramatic, we want to look too much. So, eyes and lips, yeah. No. I think I was gonna say I think people just don't know her as much. I almost never do black on people, honestly. This is really what I use because most people this is enough. Unless you're doing like a black smoky or something like really editorial where you need black, this is enough draw on experience. So similar technique, but remember because these blend out a lot, we're keeping it small because we still want the name of the game is the lid is open, right? 2. Darker color, smaller area. Think of it that way. Going back in with my double-sided guide. Didn't clean it off, so everything is still on here. And remember, they all play well together. There's still no powders on the everything is still creamy, everything is still blendy. And also, since we're getting into more drama zone, we really could go a little crazier with like a shape if you want to have more of an angle. Especially with these pencils because they're very sharp. They do what you wish a really good brush would do with shadow. Because you can create this little faux like shape, blend her out.
But there's still the water from the base.
Mhm. Yes. That's okay. So I actually did a first look that was very like simple. So we're building. I used the aqua smoky shadow stick. I'll wash across the eye and then limitless brown as the crease for the original look. And now we went darker with the dimensional. I also did a little bit of like a burgundy under the eye for the first. I think we can get into more brown than I was doing. So now we're adding a little bit on the lash line, like literally on the lashes, not the skin. So that's how you're gonna get the density shape. feel like this is something that I'm getting into here.
If you would do everyone's line dispensing, would you set up the chairs and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. We do have waterproof eyeliner though. They grab really fast. That's the thing. So yeah, these are great for liner. I like to do them first, and then I would definitely go over it with something. Or Jocelyn, how do you do? You use the brush cleaner.
Yes, the brush cleaner is honestly a really great mixing medium to kind of make the pencils be a little bit more liquid. But you want to use the smallest amounts. I usually just put a little bit on a palette and then dip my pencil in. And just yes, because the brush cleaner before was marketed as airbrush thinner.
Yeah, this is an
So-
airbrush mixing medium technically that's been reformed.
Yeah. So it still can be used in that way. So just a tiny bit, depending on how much you want. If you want more of like a watercolor effect, more of the airbrush thinner. If you want a little bit just to kind of liquefy the pencil to get it really nice and smooth, to, like apply up the skin, then that. But another great thing is that if you want to even move it after applying it, once it's set, you can put a tiny bit into the brush, take off the excess, and go in. You can have the ability to blend out anything that technically has been set already. I know a lot of people like using that, or you can, I think you can do the same thing with the A-Log. You want to be, yeah, you want to be careful with Carolyn because I think the texture of it is different.
It's more jelly.
Yeah.
But the main ingredient in Carolyn is the main ingredient in our brush cleaner. Just saying, bang for buck. Yeah, that's why we figured that out. We were like, oh.
Old school makeup products, they still come back to buy that because they also use it to liquefy cream, foundation, palette, and fixes. You can also do that to liquefy the cream.
And you can see I'm almost going like sloping up, like a triangle. And remember, we're kind of contouring the hood. So don't be afraid to go up there. You want to reduce it anyway. So that's why I'm going up, but I'm still keeping that lid open. That's why I'm kind of aiming almost towards where the bra is. Kind of like sweeping it this way. And then I like to kind of curve it into that little part of the. Any other questions?
You can say it.
It's very yes, I think. I spent that I've never used. It's amazing. It's only like $22. It doesn't claim to be waterproof, but it's like I didn't have allergies. It doesn't move, and it really builds up beautifully. It's fluffy, but you can get really nice fluffy. Before, like $22.
Wait, what, rare?
Rare Beauty, Selena Gomez's line. Yeah, that's one. Like I like the blushes from her too. And I know that's what she's known for. It's very good.
You might also be able to catch them now at the makeup show.
Yes. They were at the makeup show last year and they had a deal where you got a free brow gel with the mascara. The brow gel is also really good. Actually, I will say I like really big mascara personally. Our brushes don't do it for me. For clients though, I do really like the professional with the really small side. I really like to get into like the bottom lashes or even for male grooming. That little brush is really nice around like the beard. So I will say for ours, toot for that. So. Johnson, what was the shade of the pigment you showed me the other day? I don't remember the number. You showed me a really pretty pigment that I wanted. You meant dark, but I'm also actually I'm gonna change it up. But I think I'm feeling this now because of your hair. I was gonna go more brown still, but no, I think we're gonna go fun. Why not? So because of all the creams as bases, now we're going in with powder to really solidify and buff it up. But this already gave us some nice depth. Oh yeah, I just sprayed it with alcohol. But this is our Boundless Berry Artist to Go palette. They actually are very cute. I know this is different from the one we okay. So I'm going in with like a medium color right over all of that one. Yes. That was the pinky color. Because I feel like now I want to stay in the world of where her hair is. And you can see that shadow stick from the first look is still peeking. There's still some light on the eyes, even though now we're going in with matte. Everything on top of those things have been matte. This, you know, that guy. And I'm gonna take, take this kind of like cooler gray purple. Tuck it right into that corner. You guys kind of know this look. This is the kind of really simple three color eye look your go-to. The real trick here is where you're blending up and keeping that middle part open. But you can see, like, I'm going relatively dark in here now, but when her eye is open, it's not gonna look as aggressive. That's why the lids are fine. This can get crazy.
The other thing I noticed with you is that you're sticking with really small brushes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like precision. I like to be in control of where my product is going. I also have a finer that could come into play too. And remember, the darker you go, the smaller you go, because once you blend out, that dark is gonna come out. We don't want it. Nice little smoke. I appreciate it. Okay. I'm gonna go back in with our other girl Ivy from the first look because I think she's gonna be the star of the show. Second. Take her back to the bottom. Using this is technically a brow brush, but I really like how tight the bristles are for eyeliner. It's not really brow brush, but it's the 274. I find the bristles on this a little crispy, so especially when you're doing a cream, they kind of stay together. Some other ones are too loose, where if you do a liquid, they go. Now, because you mentioned like eyeliner and ring liner, I will say for someone hooded, I don't really recommend liner. It can be done, of course. For your sanity, for the client's, esteem, I would say just talk about that if you can. Tell them it's not the most flattering because it's not, and it's not the easiest thing to do. So what I like to do is what I'm doing here, where I take a shadow, a liner, whatever, following that curve, you're kind of finessing the angle that a liner would give or a wing would give. Because really what people want is lift. When they say a lot of these things, they're saying trends because they hear trends. But what they really want is the effect. Like when they say contour, they don't really mean contour, they mean definition. When they say like liner or whatever, maybe they do want definition, but really they want to lift their eyes a lot of the time. So something like this is still giving that lift, it still has definition. The eyes are open, the eyes aren't eaten, and you can still see the shadow. Because if I did liner on her, one, when she opened her eye, you wouldn't see it. And two, if you did see it, that means you're not seeing the shadow anymore. Because there's limited space there that you're working with. So you kind of pick. If she really wanted eyeliner, I would say, okay, it's an eyeliner look. Then you get what I mean? Versus someone who has more lid space, then you can go crazy, do all of it. But we're working with someone with smaller lid space, so you have to take that into account. But you can see the lift. You guys see the lift from side to side here? Look this way a little bit. Just that little subtle thing, it just lifts the face. And I'm going like right over where that hood is. Don't pay attention to where does the hood and whatever. I'm following that curve. The curve cuts right over that hood. So that's how it is. And then if you don't want it to look so harsh, you can literally just marry that edge so it fades into the shadow. Because realistically, now you just made the shadow a little bit more angled, more lifted, a little bit more dramatic. And then Jocelyn just put me onto this really pretty shimmer that she says all the ladies love. Number 13 in our Starlit powders. So these are not our glitter glitters. Those are the Starlit Diamond Starlit powders. Have the effect we're looking for. I told you. Wet, shimmer, glowy. And what's nice about these, they're so fine, you don't need a base. You don't need to do a glitter, glue, or anything like that. And because it's still relatively creams, it'll stick. And again, because we don't want it to look like disco ball. We don't want it to be crazy. This is a mature client. She's probably going to someone's, son's wedding or whoever. She doesn't want to look crazy. I'm going to take a little bit that you can get, fluffy. This is the same blending brush I've been using the whole time. And I'm loading it up, but I didn't go right into the middle pile because then you're just gonna have a thing full. I'm going into the edges and I'm literally swirling it into the brush. So you see it's not like a bunch of products sitting on top, because if I went in like that, it would just be everywhere. It's in the brush now, so I don't have to fear of getting it on her clothes or anything like that. And then from here, starting in the middle, because you want the middle to kind of just come forward. That's what's really gonna open the eye up. And then I'm working my way in. But I'm not really pressing too hard. I'm kind of just dusting it right on top because we don't want it to look like just glitter and sugar. We want it to look like ice. No, I said ice. Like ice on the eyes, or glitter, sugar, glow, fun. I will say these pigments come in really fun colors. So this is a good place where if you do have a client that maybe isn't so bold, maybe the look was very simple, very brown, this is a place that you can add a fun thing without being, because we have some that have like a really pretty pink reflect or a green reflect and things like that. And that little touch of something will make them feel like, oh, okay, this is fun and different, but it's not. And the reason I like to start in the middle is, again, because we want to keep that lid open. And this is the part that kind of hides the most. So you're kind of highlighting contour. We contoured the hood, we're highlighting the lid to bring her back out, and then I'm going to tuck it into the skin. That's okay. Okay. Now, because I didn't do a lot of coverage the first time, we really just did coverage on the middle of the face. But now we're talking about, no, this is like, she's glam, she's going out. She wants it to look more like makeup. Let's say that. We're gonna go in with the palette, because the palette is gonna be your more full coverage color. And remember, she's water resistant, sweat resistant, all the resistance.
And there are times where there are clients who are mature who actually love wearing a lot of makeup.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're not afraid of it. They're just not confident in what they're doing. So I'm taking a tiny bit. It really doesn't need that much, but I'm taking a tiny bit of the Hydro Boost just because we're working on top of something so that I don't accidentally lift. But realistically, on myself, when I do this, I just do the Hydro Boost and go straight with the palette, and you'll get that full coverage. It'll lock down, and I don't have any issues working straight from it because I have one of these for my growth. I love it. And then I am going to use now the original flat guy because we do want it. So remember, she already has full hair. She doesn't really need more. But the perimeters where I left the freckles, I left the skin, that's where your clients are going to be like, it doesn't look like I'm doing anything. Now you can go in. And I'm really going to carve, only because I'm working on top of another look, I'm carving what we already done. But this is also a way to show, okay, if I've already, I feel like I've stuck myself in a place where I already locked down, I already did powder, I already did study spray, oh no, they want more. It's not the end of the world, Again, it's makeup, it's not a tattoo. So we can always work with Again, because of that nice prep, even though we've done a bunch of layers, we've done powder, we've done matte formulas and everything, the skin doesn't look flat, right? I will say another thing that people tend to associate with not looking like a full face is the glow. People see glow and to them they think tinted moisturizer, clean makeup, which I love, but like clean makeup, no makeup, which is not reality. Glowy skin just really is like healthy skin. But when people say event or full coverage, they do usually mean more matte, more filtered. So we'll give it to them. Do you see the difference in coverage? But it still doesn't look like heavy, right? But this is your woman who's like, no, I need it covered. I need it, even though she doesn't have anything to cover, she's, I need it. This is that person. And then they're also gonna say, no, I need powder. I need it. Which is where these come in. So these are technically foundation powder. They'll give you medium, buildable to full. Actually, a lot of men love it because it doesn't look like makeup, but it's going to give you that appearance of like even skin. It's also really nice because even layered over something like this, it'll give a bit of coverage. It'll lock you down, but without being too heavy. And I'm using this because I don't want to go in with a mask. I don't want to go in with full everywhere. Again, right? We're working with light layers. So this is going to help give us a little extra buffer of more coverage without just being pounding them, right? Taking the same, oh gosh, not using that one anyway, but that's okay. I'm gonna use shade 1N14. 1N14?
Yes.
No, making sure you think that's all right.
Oh.
I think so. Same brush as before because we like the density of her, like so you can see the difference. So stamping, because what we already like work to cover, you don't want to accidentally lift by rubbing it off. And I will lightly go over here with whatever's left because that is actually the liquid from before, just to lock it down before I go on with other stuff.
You can also see the difference on better.
Good, that's why I did half, so you can see the side by side. You guys, here, turn it this way. You can see, still looks like skin, not overly powdery or flat, but definitely a difference in coverage and versus this side.
Also want to
Same with me, forever other than me. And then dusting around the edges, because remember, we don't need full everywhere. But we also want lines. I'm actually using the same matte velvet powder, just in a deeper shade. This is gonna be our bronzer. Because we worked with creams to begin with, we laid our base, our sculpt, everything's on. Now this is where you're bumping up the coverage because you got the base of what you want, and now you're adding all your colors to really go in and define. So I'm actually gonna use the same brush because I do really like the density, and I'm gonna go in. I'm going with like this guy. She's kind of cool, not too red. Going back in all the spots that we were in before. And this is also for your girls who are dancing on video. The layers, they're gonna be thanking you later. They didn't feel like anything, but I sweat all night and it was on. So remember, focusing the most of the color really in the center, and then whatever's left over, I'm sweeping around, sweeping down here, just to vary the face. You can do a little bit in the middle, just to give some color back. I do not. I only do it if a client specifically asks. I never automatically do it, and honestly, because of that rule, I almost never do it. Clients almost never. It's really not as common as you think. Like, I don't like to force that because I don't know how people feel about themselves. Like, I don't have an issue with my nose, and if someone kind of came up to me and commented it, I would be like, ooh, you know, and I've had that happen. But also, if they bring it up, sure, I'll do it. Cool. But like most of the time, they don't bring it up because they don't actually think they need it. Yeah. Not even most young girls, like, it's really the cheeks. It's the cheeks, yeah.
But for me, that's what I see, like, if I have like a younger girl, before 28 or something, she's like, oh, come to me.
But that's what I'm saying. They're telling you because they hear trends. You as the artist, you tell them no. Like if they already have a small nose, you're gonna contour them to have no nose. And that's what you have to tell them. Contouring is to make your nose look small. If you already have a small nose, we're gonna look crazy. And that's what I tell them. And when you say it like that, they go, oh, you're right. I don't actually want that. Maybe highlighter, maybe something else, maybe just bronzer. Because a lot of the times they say contour, they just mean definition. That's what I said earlier. That's why a lot of the times you could just bronze them and that's enough. Because they really just want to see a cheekbone. It doesn't have to be a line that carves it out. Yeah. Because like the same way, like if you wanted to, like I could just take that little bit of bronzer and literally just right here. Because it'll add color to the nose and warmth, but it's not necessarily. But it depends on the client. Of course, you're gonna get like the Instagram clients, like the 2016 clients, the prom clients, and they're very that. But that's what I'm saying. That's a trend. That's, you know, but like your mother of the bride, you're someone like that, that's not necessary.
I like to call it like a paint by numbers situation.
Yes.
Because they are seeing all these influencers kind of do the same routine, which is like the lines on the nose, the cheekbone. They are essentially kind of doing the same thing on each other, but they all, if you look at them, they really, some of them don't even need all those lines.
Exactly.
So I think it's because they're all seeing each other do it, and then like the younger girls, they start seeing what they're doing. It's like that's what they think they need to do.
That's why you have to tell them like, oh no. The same way, like when your 12-year-olds are trying to buy rent, they don't need it, and you tell them that you don't need it. No. All right, girls, or sorry, peoples. We're playing with our new artist color crayon. Came out not too long ago, maybe within the last month or two. So these are Islip Space, similar concept to the artist color crayons, waterproof, sweat resistant. A lot of the artist color that you know, like Anywhere Caffeine, wherever Wanna do exist in these formulas, but a lot of new colors that are really fun, like this one, Blushing Pink, which is a very this is her normal like go-to lip color. But today she will be our lip and our cheek. So same foundation brush, no new product. The foundation or the foundation? It's Blushing Pink in the artist color crayon, which is actually, I think it's a really pretty client color. It's a really nice go-to color. So these are pigmented, I will say fair warning. So I'm gonna use very little. You see I have a little thing there, but I'm working small layer. And what's nice is I re-misted her so she's rehydrated. And again, I'm starting kind of in the high points and doing a little. But I will say for summer, these have been really my go-to. I do sunscreen with these on top, and they don't need anything else. They do really wear beautifully. And I do like them on the lips. They're very. That's my personal. But. You see that little bit. Foundation brush, no extra product. I'm just using it again to diffuse those edges. And you'll notice I do kind of like a blush drape. That's like just my preference. Also, it just really lifts the face. Because I find it flattering on most people. So I'm kind of doing it on her. It would be blush in your normal area, but slightly lifted, like an 80s blush. Because it lifts the face, but also realistically, your blush and your color in your face does hit those places. So it is kind of just a little bit more into the skin, and then moving it forward. Not necessarily again, like on the apple, but blending it, because color again appears there.
This is also really monochromatic as well.
See? Because I'm playing with like the tone of her hair as like my face. But you know, you could do the same look with literally any colors. And look, I still have like so much left. I didn't even really, I kept going from this little spot. But that's actually gonna make it to,
You're very light-handed, right?
I am, yeah. I like to work in very light layers. Build up as needed. I will say I'm an editorial girl though, so when I have to really go for it, I will. I feel like for clients, I don't like to overwhelm them, and they get overwhelmed very easily if they're not used to makeup. Or especially when someone like me comes at them and they're telling me they want clean, they're like, you're gonna do clean on me? And I'm like, yes, I am. So, cutie. You know, I actually was gonna change the lip. I'm gonna keep that base of the versatile chestnut because I really like, I still like it with this lip, but I'm gonna combine it with our lip color to tie them all together. Not using a lot of product, I'm literally just using a little janky guide. Because again, the product is buildable. More doesn't mean more when a product is already full coverage. And again, this is gonna give her like a waterproof, almost lip stain effect, but it's not gonna feel like that. These almost have like a blotted lip texture, if you guys are familiar with those kind of like more velvety or powder finish products. So it's really comfortable. I like my color. Anyone else have questions? Do we think I need to make the eye darker? I guess that's my question to you guys. Okay, here we go. Answer. What I am gonna do though is take a powder puff now, just because we're at the end of our journey here. I'm gonna use the same color as before, but I'm really gonna go in to those hot spots. Now I see that. Only because you can see we're sitting under the light here, so she's starting to get a little juicy, which only shows me that throughout the night, if she would sweat or anything, she would be getting juicy, right? So we want to make sure we're locking in. Powder puff's nice because again, if we're working with texture, it's not going to overly fill in those lines, but it is going to have, and it is going to lock down. Lens goes around here. Alright. And then for last steps, pretty much. I like to hit all my clients at dry, oily, combo, men, women, whoever. I use both setting sprays, no matter who it is. Mist and fix because it hydrates, refreshes, it gets rid of the powder. You can go crazy with it. So this is what we're gonna go crazy. Right. Matte Velvet has a powder in it, so you want to take it up first. And I like to hit the middle of the face, regardless of everyone, because like I said, if they're sweating or anything, this is just gonna give them a little extra layer. Both of them make it sweat really before. So it never hurts. No. And you see the mist is really fine. So it's not like you're drenching them. They're not like drowning. Beautiful. I was like, sorry, I had a moment. It's my mommy. How does it feel? Like, how does it feel? Wait, what? She always says she can never do eyes. See, that's what you want your clients to do. You want your clients to, yeah, you want them to look at themselves and be like, that's me. You don't want them to say, who is, you want them to say, wow, that's me. I didn't know I could look like that. And I have cheekbones. See? Nice. Thank you.
So make sure that you guys take your little goodie bags today as
Oh yeah, those
well.
are yours, guys.
Has little skincare in there as well. And also take advantage of the 40% off. If you post anything from today's class, we would love the tags to Pro Studio _NYC on Instagram or on TikTok. We're at Pro Studio NY. Thank you.
Thanks, Greta. And if you have any questions, I'm here.